Blizzard, what have you done to main tanks? Oh my lord. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to the channel. And we've got, so the patch is in. And this patch, everyone was like, oh yeah, this looks like an awesome patch. I was even that guy. It looks amazing. And it is. On paper, it's really good. And actually, it was good on the experimental card. But it's different when things go to live. Now, yeah, what I'm going to start this video off with is a bit of DPS gameplay from this DPS character, also known as Roadhog. That for some reason, Blizzard decided to buff like crazy because now he just does basically, he's got his one-shot damage combo back. He just does incredible amounts of damage. But there's a lot of things going on here why the game is actually ending up how it is. So double barriers are pointless. You can see we're playing into double barriers here. This is the whole point of the patch, to get rid of that. And it's done a good job because, well, they just don't matter. You can just delete them. But the issue is why? What is going on? Why is Hog super powerful? Why is the tank meta, Hog Zarya, doesn't even include a main tank? There's so much to discuss here. And this patch is like... Overwatch has never felt like this before. It feels like a pure deathmatch when you play competitive. It is absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's break this down, guys. So we've got Roadhog with his insane damage combo back. He hooks, he primary fires, he melees, he kills almost all of the Overwatch cast, unless it's a tank or it's Mei, right? For example, he's going to kill everybody else, right? Absolutely deletes them. This means you can go back to doing the old flank Hog. Hog is he's straight up DPS who happens to have like 600 HP. And by the way, he probably is one of the best DPS in the game right now. And that's maybe in part of the fact that Powercreep, I'm going to say it, guys, Powercreep in the game in regards to DPS is actually starting to outpace shields. And of course, now it's wildly outpacing shields. And we're just seeing DPS run rampant. I mean, right now, Hitscan is just super powerful, but we'll get onto that in a second. So yeah, Hog gets his one-shot combo back. That's pretty ridiculous, right? Now, Zarya, the reason why we're seeing a lot of her is because, yes, she does a ton of damage as well. But also, crucially, she doesn't instantly die because she can bubble herself. Same goes for Hog. He can use Take a Breather. He's not ever going to instantly die. But the thing with Zarya is the only hero in the game that can remove negative effects. She can bubble you. Well, I guess you could say Mei can remove negative effects off herself. But, and I guess maybe you could say Echo if you're getting super technical when she's using her ulti and all this stuff. But basically, and maybe Doomfist as well when he uses it, but whatever. What I'm saying is Zarya can remove anti-nade, right? She can remove that effect off you, or the anti-heal from Ana's nade. She can save you when you get hooked by Hog. She can save Hog when Hog gets hooked by Hog. Because in the Hog duel, whoever hooks first generally loses. So you're firing away as Hog. You're waiting for them to hook. If they hook you, whatever, you don't care. You hook them back, and then you keep firing into them, and you probably win. However, if Ana throws a nade in, and it hits you, and you can't heal, well, then you're dead. If your Zarya bubbles you, well, then you win that fight. Or if their Zarya bubbles them, then they win that fight. So Zarya is able to dictate who wins in the Hog matchup, and she can remove the negative effect of Ana. So then let's move on to Ana. What's going on with Ana? So Ana is super powerful right now because she's the only support that can actually stop Hog from healing, and she can also put him to sleep. If you guys have been playing Hog right now, you'll know that it's actually kind of annoying to get put to sleep all the time. And it happens all the time because you're such a massive target, which is fair. I don't mind that. But then when it's coupled with the grenade, it means that Hog gets completely negated by Ana. So you've got Hog, who's essential because of his super DPS and the fact he can one-shot people and the fact he can delete barriers. But barriers are already kind of weak now anyway. Especially look at Sigma. His barriers have been absolutely annihilated into the ground. Reinhardt's barrier is still okay, but Rein suffers from he's only doing one thing at one time. He's either doing damage or he's got his barrier up. Every other tank is doing a load of other stuff while their barrier's out. That's power creep in the tank department when it comes to Reinhardt. Yeah, you get what I'm saying, guys? So look at Orisa. Orisa got nerfed, rightfully so. But we'll look at the way Blizzard nerfed Orisa. So they increased the speed of her Halt projectile. That actually, I think, is really cool because it turns it into a skill shot. And they also reduce the radius that it can suck you in from. Again, that's really cool. But then on top of that, let's just remove 50 armor from Orisa. Okay, now the Halt was where a lot of Orisa's power was. In fact, that's where her power was. Her shield has been nerfed for a long time. It's only 600 HP. So what you end up seeing with Orisa is her shield just gets deleted because Hog's on the field. So he's just wrecking the shield. The other DPS are just going to blast through the shield. And then Orisa's like, well, I've got a Halt that just doesn't really do anything anymore because I don't have a barrier, and Halt has been like absolutely nerfed to the ground. But only, well, then I guess you throw into the mix the fact she's got 50 less armor, so she dies quicker. And it's very easy to headshot Orisa. It's easy to do damage to her. So she is completely unplayable right now. Now, again, a lot of people were calling for that. A lot of people are annoyed by Orisa. I was annoyed by Orisa But again, I think the issue was the Halt not just blowing everything else away. Then we move on to Sigma, right? Sigma, again, is another hero that has pretty much just been wiped out of the game. Sigma's barrier is so weak now, it is laughable. And again, because Hog's on the field, Hog just deletes the barrier whenever he sees it. And the fact that his suck ability has got an extra 2 seconds on cooldown now means that he doesn't have a reliable defense against a lot of things. But hey, it doesn't matter, because when he's sucking, Roadhog just starts hooking. And he can't stop that because he gets hooked through it. Oh dear God, ladies and gentlemen. So this is kind of the situation that we're looking at right now. And it is actually kind of mental. I mean, we can throw in other tanks into this, right? So throw in D.Va. What's D.Va's situation? Well, the problem with D.Va is Hog's really good against D.Va. And also, Hog can just hook D.Va. D.Va can't do enough damage to beat Hog in a 1v1. There's no chance. But the thing with D.Va is she can't actually defend a team that well from Hog hooking people in. Yeah, she can use Defense Matrix once, but then as soon as she stops using it, she's got the cooldown waiting for it to come back up again. That's not... It's too much of a window, and then damage just comes through, and then you just see, well, loads of damage. What about the other main tanks? What about Winston? All right? So Winston is completely unplayable. And that's kind of a bit extreme. He's not unplayable. But if you're playing dive into a Roadhog, because there will be a Roadhog, ladies and gentlemen. Like, I have literally played 22 games since the patch went live. There's been a Roadhog in every single game. Every single game has had a Roadhog. If you try and play Winston into that, you're dead, because Roadhog eats Winston for breakfast. He did this anyway before he got buffed. It's just insane. It's like, I don't know, like, Blizzard have come in and decided to make changes, which everybody agreed with, and I think is awesome. But I think what they need to do is, like, experimental isn't enough. Like, when we've got these glaring issues in the game, where making changes, like, across the entire roster, well, it's not across the entire roster, but they make a ton of changes at once, and some of them kind of don't make sense when you look at it. It's like, okay, we're trying to nerf barriers, so let's just wreck Brig. Well, Brig is removed out of the game, but then let's also just destroy Sigma. Okay, Sigma had a lot of power in his barrier, but then let's also nerf his suck ability at the same time. But hold up, he depends on suck when his barrier is gone, so maybe he actually needs the cooldown he had anyway, instead of nerfing it even more, because it means it's even hard for him to get the suck up. It's like, no, let's just nerf it. Then it's like, let's nerf Orisa's Hulk, because that's the problem, but then let's just take 50 armor. It's all these little things, right, which add up, and they just throw the game into complete, like, it just goes into a mess. Now, it's got to be said that when a new meta is being formed, it usually is kind of a bit of a shit show, to be honest, ladies and gentlemen. The first couple of days, the first week, as teams are trying to work out what's going on. And that's what we're starting to see now. Now, this is why experimental isn't the best. Yes, you do get information from experimental, I guess, if the developers must definitely get more than they do from the PTR. But as soon as it goes into competitive, as soon as it actually means something, then you start seeing the team comps actually being formed, and it becomes very obvious what heroes are ridiculously powerful. So maybe Blizzard need to change up the way they balance the game in the way that they test the balances. So, yeah, it's on experimental, but then do you even need experimental? This is the other thing, right? Just put the changes into competitive. And then if it doesn't work, just change them, like, quickly. And, like, after a week, things can be changed. Maybe that's a route they need to go down to stop this kind of thing happening. But let's take a look at the other heroes, right, guys? Because there's a load of changes here to the game, and it's crazy. So, initially, or right away, main tank is, I don't want to say it's useless, but it is very hard to get value from main tank right now. So, when you take main tank out of the game, you take your Winston, you take your Orisa, you take your Reinhardt, and to some extent, the Sigma. Although I do agree with the Sigma barrier nerf, because he's an off-tank, not a main tank. But when you take them out of the game becomes very loose. It loses all of its structure. And I think that's where Overwatch gets... well, that's what Overwatch is, right? It's a team-based game where there is structure, or there should be structure, where there's this chance for tank heroes to protect their team. In fact, instead, what we're going into now is seeing Roadhog and Zarya, who are just DPS, basically, just not protecting the team. Because, well, okay, Zarya can with bubbles, but that's it. Hog doesn't care about his team. Running around, which means the supports are open at the back, and they just have, like, DPS diving all over them. Your DPS are doing whatever the hell they like. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is great for DPS, this patch, especially if you play Hitscan. There's nothing to stop you, really. You just go ahead and do whatever you want to do. It is crazy. So, yeah, the Hog buff means weaker barriers, because he's just on the field all the time, and he's just going to destroy them. But also, there are weaker barriers in the game, and weaker main tanks. He also counters dive, and he's also really good against Reinhardt, so there's another problem. So when Rein's shielding, as soon as his shield goes, he's going to get hooked. If he tries to fire strike, he's going to get hooked. If he tries to do damage, he's going to get hooked, right? And a Reinhardt out of position is a dead Reinhardt. Now, we move on and look at the other heroes, right? So look at Ball. Now, Ball is actually pretty good, right? Unless there's a Roadhog who's just focusing on the ball and he's tucking him in and just destroying him. But Ball can still get stuff done if he's messing around in the back line. Because the only way to counter Ball is you need to take possibly Sombra, right, to hack him. But the thing with that is, why would you take the Sombra when you could just take a McCree, a Soldier, a Widow, an Ashe, somebody with Hitscan DPS? Because you have literally got free range right now. I can't explain to you guys how crazy it is to play those heroes right now. You can just do whatever you like. There is literally nothing that can stop you unless, for whatever reason, the enemy team decide to play dive and come after you, which is pretty much a mad idea right now in the game. It's crazy. The more I look at my notes that I've made on this stuff, it's just so crazy. It's like, what the hell? So, I mean, who wins in this mess? And like, who loses? It's quite obvious main tanks have massively lost here. Reinhardt, even though he wasn't nerfed, has just been wrecked. Like, you don't want to play Reinhardt right now because you'll just get farmed. Hog will farm you. Zarya will farm you. You will stand there. Like, he's literally like a limp dick hero. He just does nothing. He's got his barrier out, or he's trying to do damage with his hammer. Great. Every other tank can do about 10 other different things at once. He can't. You can argue that's power creep. Like I said earlier in the video, you can argue that is power creep because you've got a hero that has been just outclassed and outpaced by other heroes, right? Ana wins because Ana is the only one who can anti-nade Hog. And anti-nade as well, or the anti-heal by throwing the nade in, you can just hit everybody with it now because there's no barrier. Like, there's just nothing there stopping you because the other team are playing Hog Zarya. Like, again, if you play support and you just yeet the grenade straight into the enemy team, it's probably going to hit them now. There's nothing to stop them. If they've got a Reinhardt, hey, they might block it, but then they're going to suffer because they don't have the Zarya or the Hog, which they should have instead of that Reinhardt. See what I mean, guys? It's so crazy. Batista's actually okay. The one actually we haven't spoke about here is Zen. Because you'd think Zen would actually be really good right now. But Zen, well, here's the thing, right? When you take main tanks out of the game, supports are very vulnerable. And I mean very, very vulnerable. The most vulnerable support is Zen. So even though Zen has got a massive damage buff, he can't actually do anything because he gets sprayed down from range before the fight even begins. And what I've noticed a lot, I mean, you guys have seen it in the footage that's been used in the background of this video, especially on the Havana footage, is it is just like Widowmaker, Ashe, McCree, they just do what they like. They just rush through. They destroy your team because you can't stop the damage coming in. And you don't really have many options. And this is, in a way, it's speeding the game up. But also, it's making the game, it's just, it doesn't feel like Overwatch. Now, we could go into a wider debate here on, do Blizzard even know what they're doing when it comes to balancing the game? And what is the direction of Blizzard's balance methodology here? Now, there are a few things they were trying to tackle with this patch, and it has achieved that. But then the knock-on effect is, whether this is because of unforeseen circumstances or not giving the game enough chance to, or not you know, testing it enough, or maybe looking at the data wrong and looking at it, like, I don't know. I literally don't know. But right now, we're looking at a state of the game which is very deathmatchy, which doesn't have main tanks really, which means supports are super squishy, which means DPS are just unchecked running around. It means the entire form of the game is gone. And I don't know whether that's good for the game. Now, what worries me here is they've already come out and they're going, oh, hey, this is the patch we're going to use for Overwatch League. Great. Everybody is like, well, great, there's going to be no Orisa, but there's also going to be no main tanks probably. So how is that going to look going into the playoffs when, we're seeing this major shakeup of the meta, just pushing the game into another direction? There's a lot we could discuss here, guys, and we could go on for a long time talking about this because it is a highly complex issue. And I guess just to finish the video on this aspect of the discussion, can Overwatch actually be balanced? Like, Blizzard, I fully, honestly believe, know what they're doing. They have a plan. They execute the plan. And then it creates more problems. And that, in essence, is balance of a game, like Overwatch, because you make changes, certain heroes become powerful. The question is, how long do you leave those changes in place? Do you make changes to knock them down? Are you okay with the game's direction as it's going? And then what do? Make other changes to bring other things back and forth. Now, a lot of people out there do criticize the developers, and I don't think that's fair, because remember, this is a stupidly difficult thing to do to get this game balanced. And it seems like what they're doing now is just making changes to thrust heroes to the front and then bringing them back. Thrust heroes to the front, bring them back. Look at Genji. Buff Genji and then go, okay, you got 2 weeks of fun. Now we're really bringing you back, right? Then it's like, okay, everyone's moaning about double barriers. Let's get rid of double barriers by making a load of buffs. Hog, oh, he's not being used a lot. Remember, again, they did say changes were targeted as well at heroes that were underused and underplayed. So let's buff Hog, right? Because we're not seeing him being played a lot. Let's just give him back his one-shot combo. Yeah, sure, let's do it. It seems like, why? Like, if you didn't buff the Hog, would he get played? Maybe? Because he's going to be able to hook more reliably, but he wouldn't still have his one-shot kill combo, which he's got now, which means he's in every game. It's really complicated, but I think the fact of the matter is right now, the best DPS in the game is Roadhog. He's not a tank. Maybe one day Blizzard will go, okay, we agree. I mean, they have actually said they've ran internal tests saying, yeah, we changed Roadhog to DPS to see what would happen. Maybe now's the time. This character is not a tank, right? And this isn't a video hating on Roadhog. I'm just trying to explain the way the meta is going and what I've experienced through playing, like I said, 22, 23 games in this new meta, which is very weird. It's very weird, Overwatch is right now. And maybe a little bit of this video is kind of bitter because I am a main tank player. I am a support player. I'm a DPS player. I mean, I play all the heroes, but the main tanks just don't really have anything to fit into right now. And it's a very weird place for Overwatch. I want you guys to let me know what you think about this in the comments below. As for the meta direction, will this stay? I mean, we're going to have to play a bit more Overwatch to see what happens there. I am going to be watching the way this actually unfolds at the pro level because if no changes are made, I can just see some great, like, it's just going to be crazy. Like, think how good the Widowmaker players are at the pro level in the Hitscan. They're just going to kill everyone. And there's going to be no way of stopping it. What about main tanks? I mean, hey, Fusions came out on Twitter yesterday and was like, yeah, I know I was calling for Orisa nerfs, but you didn't have to delete my entire role, Blizzard. It's like, yeah, that's kind of what they've done. Oh, my Lord. Ladies and gentlemen, Overwatch balance. I could go on for hours, but I'm going to end this. Thank you for watching the video, guys. It means the world to me. If you enjoyed it, do drop a subscribe, a like, and all that good stuff. And, yeah, I'll catch you lovely lot on the next video. Oh, and remember, you can follow me. Oh, to choke. I'm actually joking. Oh, Lord. Oh, no. I'm choking on Blizzard's balance. You can follow me on Instagram, which is Stylosa as well. And do check that out because I'm trying to use Instagram a bit more because I've been terrible on Instagram in the past. So hopefully I can make stuff work over there. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.